Hello friends. So in this video we are going to discuss about request mapping annotation in Spring Boot. So in our previous video we have gone through the um, different type of endpoint mappings like gate mapping, post mapping, and put mapping. So similarly we have one superset of those annotations, that is the request mapping annotation. So in this video, we will be discussing about request mapping annotations. So basically, we can use the request mapping annotation to map request to controller methods. So if a method is annotated with request mapping, or a class is annotated with a request mapping annotation, so Spring will consider this as a endpoint mapping to a service. So it has various attributes to match by URL, HTTP methods, request parameters, headers, and media types. So basically, it has several parameters. Will be going to attributes. Will be going to discuss one by one in later in this video. So now we can use it as I said, we can use it as the class level to express the shared mapping, or at the method level to narrow down it to a specific endpoint. So in our controller class, right? In our controller class, so we can use this request mapping annotation. We can use this request mapping annotation at the class level. So what it will denote? It will denote that all the methods annotated with request mapping in the controller class. So will we have a shared path, or shared resources, or shared mapping like person here. Now if we will be mapping the endpoint, so the get person for the endpoint for get person would be like person slash then id. Okay, now if that is annotated with a particular method, so that means it has the path or the mapping to that particular method. So if that is annotated with get person, and we have a different method, it does not apply to that second method. Now we'll be discussing about the attributes of request mapping annotation. So the first attribute is the name. So the name attribute will assign a name to the mapping handler mapper, uh, to the mapping, you can say. So it's just a name. So when use it on both levels, a combined name is derived by concatenating with hash as operator. So that means, so basically we can have a request mapping at class level, and along with the handler method level, right? So in the handler method level, like in a method, right? So if the name is provided at both the request mapping annotations, so that is in class level and in the method level. So in between the names, one hash will come. So let me say here we have a home and home annotation attached in class level, and there is a branch. Let's say there is a branch added in the method level. So then it will be like the name would be like home has branch. So that is about the name attribute. Now coming to the value attribute. So this is an alias for path. So for example here, the request mapping foo is equivalent to the request mapping path. So that means the value is alternative to the path. So both it, it that means the value attribute can supported, right? Is supported by both level, the type level as well as the method level. So when used at the type level, all method level mappings inherits the primary mapping, narrowing it for a specific handler method. So let's say we have given a request mapping annotation in the class level, and we have a method on handler method in the class itself, and it also annotated with a request mapping annotation. So that means the parent grouping will be like the class level value, and it would the method level will come after that. Let's say foo, and here let's say home. So it in the method level, so it would be like foo slash home. So that is the value attribute, all value attribute. Now coming to the path. So this is the path mapping for URLs. Like I said, the value. So it's like the same as value, and it's so this is an alias for value attribute. So there's nothing to nothing more on this. So it only define the path for that handler mapper, that handler mapping. Now coming to the method. So this is more important in a request mapping annotation. In the earlier video, we have discussed about different type of gate map, different type of handler mappings, right? Um, so that is the gate mapping, post mapping, and all. So this method attribute can also be used in such a way that specific annotation behavior can be achieved through the request mapping annotation. So we that means if we provide a method attribute, so this will narrow the primary mapping to get post and head. So it can it so if we provide the method attribute, right? If we provide the method attribute, so that particular HTTP request method it will be mapped to that handler mapper. Let's say we have given here the delete and get. So that particular handler will be mapped to the HTTP method delete and get, and it also supports that both type level and as well as the method level. So when we use at the top level, that means the class level, um, all method level mappings inherit this HTTP method restriction. So let's say we have given the method, right, method as get in the class level. So that will restrict all the method handlers, right, all the handler methods uh, only to use get. So nothing more can be given in the handler mapper if we have provided only get in the class level, that is the top level. So that is about method attribute. Now now uh, now we have the param attributes. So this the parameters of the mapped request narrowing the primary mapping. So we can provide a particular request parameter to be mapped to a handler method. So let's say here we have given, right, we have given my param. So if that request will contain my param and the value would be my value, so then that particular request will be mapped, can be mapped, or will be mapped to a particular handler. So this is more about filtering the specific request to a particular uh, request handler if the request parameter, the provided request parameter, is present in the request. Okay, now coming to the header. uh, so this is also same as the param, but this is same as the param, but instead of request parameter, we'll have to it will uses a request header as the filter. So nothing more. So that means here if the request is having my header in the request header, uh, and the value of that my header requested is my value, then that particular but that particular request will be mapped to a particular handler mapper. So now consumes. So consumes will narrow the primary mapping by media type that can be consumed by the mapped mapped handler. So it can consist of one or more media types on which must match the request content type header. So this is basically a array type of attribute and which will define which format of the request body can be used for that handler. So if we provide text by plain, so in the request body only text by plain can be consumed by that handler method. Now the producers is the opposite of that one. So it will define uh, what type of response the handler method will produce. So for here, this is the plain text by plain, and that is the text by plain. It also supports multiple values. Now let me go to the Eclipse to see each and every attributes we have in request mapping. Okay, so in our previous example, we have created this project. Now I am going to create a controller for request mapping. Let's say it a request mapping controller. Request mapping to do our examples. See our examples. Let me annotate this as, so as you know, this to uh, to notify the string, this is a controller, so we have to annotate it either as a controller, add the controller, or rest controller. So I have added as rest controller. Now let me add the root a root or base mapping, base request mapping for this. So let's say we have given the value attribute as root. So this would be like the root for the all the methods, right? All the mappings inside the controller. So this is the root, we can say. So I'll show you how this will be used when we are calling the service. Now let me create a handler mapping at method level. Public, let's say string, we will be returning a string to the client. Let's say uh, let's say get mapping. So first we'll check get mapping. So in this method will only return a string. Let's say hello Java Tech guides. And so here we have to annotate the request mapping annotation for the mapping, right, for the handler mapping. So let me give it a value attribute as, let's say, get mapping. I'll more explain why I have given the get mapping. Let me just um, try to run the basic things, basic value attribute, the uses of value attribute. Now I have started the server. Let me go to uh, Postman. So we'll be creating a new request here to hit that service. So let's say request mapping. So we have the server name as localhost, because we are running the services in our local host, right, in our system. So let's say this is the root get mapping. So this is the, so here we have given this in the class level, right? So this is the first or base for the child mappings. So let me hit it. Okay, now we see, we have the text. So we have not given, right, any, so we have not given any of the method, right, method attribute, we have not given it. So any of the http methods, if we can use, so it will be accessible for the by this method. Let me give an example. So here we have chosen as get. Now I'm coming to, if I will be using post, then also we'll be getting the response, and that method is called, that the same handler is called. So if you change it to put, then also it will be the same. So now this is the value attribute. Let me change it to path attribute. So the value is the alias of path. So it does the same thing. It does the same thing what path does is, value does is. So let me hit it. So now we have the same result here. So that also be for get. So we have covered the path and route attribute. Now coming to the method, that means method. So we are narrowing. So the route is allowing all the methods. Now for this handler mapping, so I'll be using get http method, is request method, right, request method dot get. So what I did, I have I told the Spring that this method is specific to the get request. Uh, so you map it for the get request. Now I have saved it. Now let's check if that is accessible for only for get or any other methods. So for get we are getting the value. If we give if we change the method http method to post, let's see. So the method is not allowed. So 405 will come because that is only specific to get mapping. Now if we allow the post, so we remember, right, we can uh, give multiple request methods in the method attribute. So it's an array, so you can pass multiple values on that. So let me check it. If we have allowed post and get, so the method is called. So we are getting the response for get and post. If we change it to post, then it will be 405. Now here is the trick of request method, right? That is the method attribute. There is a trick for this. So if we define a method attribute at root level, so what will be happening? Let's say, uh, so what will be happening? It will narrow or it will override. Let's check. So I have given the root attribute as get. Now I'll see what methods it allows at the child level, at the handler mapping level. So the post, it's not allowed if we post. So whatever we have given, right, we have given in the root, that will be overridden by the child itself. So it will not combine those. It will override, the child will override the parent attribute. So this is for method level, that method attribute. Now coming to, so okay, now we'll be copying the same thing, get mapping, and the method allowed is this and this. Okay, so method allows is post and get. Now let me change it to some other attribute, right, some other text, so that we can distinguish which mapping is called. Okay, let's say param. because we will be applying param parameter here in this, let's say params, and we have my param value as my value, my my value. So let me quickly save it and start. The server is started. Okay, now if I'll hit the service. So what is coming? So it consumed that, right? It is handled by this handler mapping, because we are not getting the parameter, this text, the param text. Now I'll be adding the parameter in our request. Let's say what will happen. So I have added a parameter called name param, my param, and the value is my value. So let's check what will be the response. See, so that's the response is coming from the my param, right? Which we have applied the parameter. So this is the uses of param attribute. If will be defining a param attribute, that if the request is having that param, then it will be handled by that handler mapping. Now we'll be testing the same thing for headers. Let me give it to change it to headers, and we have my header, and header name is my header, and the value is my value. Let's say get mapping for two, let's say my header as header. So let me change. Okay, now for header we can pass it here. So I have given the header name as my header and the value as my value, and let me change this as to header, so that we can distinguish from which method is, which handler mapping the response is coming. Now if we'll hit the service and see, we have the header as the parameter, as the response. Hello tech guide hyphen header. So this is the header, and the param are to narrowing the request to the particular handler mapping, if the param or header is present for those methods. Now coming to the consumes, right, attribute. Let me that also narrowing the services, narrowing the request to a particular handler. So let me change it to consumes. So this is a special header, which which is the content type header. So basically, it's a header. The content type. So the value is mapped to that header. So let's say text by plain. I have given by it as text by plain type. One second, that is the text by plain, right? Text by plain. Now if the header, a specific type of header, so the content type is text or plain, then this method will be consumes. This handler mapping will be that request will be mapped to this handler mapping. So let's check it if we have the result or same result or not. Let's say content type, that is the text by plain, right? Text by plain. If we'll click it, see, so that particular handler, right, that particular request is handled by the um, consume attribute, which we have defined in that uh, handler mapping. So that request is handled by this handler mapping. So same for the accept also. Let me give the produce attribute also. Produces. So let me give it to the text by plain and change the text as to produces. right? So this is a duplicate method, so let me change it, and we have restarted the server. So now for checking, right? So for consumes, we have the content type, and for accept, so we have a different what I can say, different attribute, different header to be mapped, right? So we have to pass the accept attribute as text pipeline, so that this request um, will be mapped to the particular handler which has the produce attribute. So let's check it. Now we can see this is the text we are getting. So this is the method. This is the handler um, which serves that request. So for that, let me give some different value if that request is consumed with this rest request or not. So now see, that request is not consumed by the handler which has the produce method, but we have defined, right, we have defined a general message, a general handler for that request path. So if we have give it, because we have given a different type, so the root handler, right? So the parent handler, this is the, let's we can say this is the parent, and it's the child, because we have given specific parameter, header, and consumes and produces. If anything does not match and we are hitting that URL, then will be that other requests, right? So those requests will be handled by this, because this is the parent and we are narrowing each and uh, every other mappings here. So that is all about, I think, all the attributes we have covered in this example. And the name attribute, I think I have left the name attribute. So that is for that is to give a name for the request handler, right? So this will be used when we'll see the Spring tags we are using uh, in our templates, right, in our JSP templates. So that time this root attribute, that name attribute, will be used for generating the relative path or relative handler URLs. So right now we can't see this, so let's wait for some time, so that in that example I can show you the uses of no name attribute. So that's all about for this video. Thank you so much. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe the video.